Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to share with you my top 5 money saving tips for travel to Iceland. Now, as you'll know if you've been watching my recent videos, me and my boyfriend Dan headed to Iceland for 6 days in February. If you haven't watched my daily vlogs from there, you can find them in my Iceland playlist. Now, Iceland is a notoriously expensive country to travel to because their wages and their living costs are so much higher compared to that of the general traveller to Iceland. So there was a few things that we did to make sure that the cost of our Iceland trip didn't bankrupt us, basically. So number 1, book an Airbnb. So instead of staying at a hotel or even a hostel, Dan and I opted for an Airbnb. This was a really good choice for us because it meant we had our own kitchen, we had our own bathroom, we had our own space to hang out in every night rather than feeling like we had to head to a bar or something. The cost of an Airbnb in Iceland is generally cheaper than a hotel, so that's definitely something I'd say look into if you go there. It also leads into number 2, which is cook all your meals at home. Restaurants are very expensive in Iceland, so by having an Airbnb and having our own kitchen, it made it so much easier for us to cook all our meals at home, even packing our lunches to take with us on our adventures during the day. This brought the cost of our trip down so much. Yes, groceries will be more expensive than they are at home, but buying groceries is a much cheaper option rather than buying every meal out. Now, I think in total there was twice where me and Dan bought snacks out. There was once Dan did buy lunch out as well, but together I think there was only twice where we bought bar snacks and only once where we ate out. So I definitely recommend eating in rather than eating out for the majority of the time. Obviously, you'll probably want to splash out for a meal out at some point, and that's totally fine, but for every meal out, it's going to rack up your costs so much. So I would definitely suggest preparing your meals at home, your breakfast, lunches and dinners, wherever you can, wherever possible, to keep those costs down. In saying that as well, look for the cheaper supermarkets. Don't go to 10-11. Their prices are extortionate. Look for somewhere like Netto or Bonus instead. We used Bonus while we were there. As a supermarket, they have cheaper prices than the 10-11. In terms of alcohol, tip number 3 is buy your alcohol at duty free in the airport. Now, this made it easier again that we had an Airbnb because we bought a bottle of vodka at the duty free on our way into the country. Then when we got to the supermarket in Iceland, we just bought some mixers and we just drank our drinks at home instead of heading out to a bar where prices are really high. In saying that, we did stop off at a couple of bars, but as with the food thing, if the majority of your drinks are at home rather than out, it's gonna be cheaper. I think we all know that. Now, tip number 4 is also to do with alcohol, which is look for happy hours. I'm pretty sure from what I saw, every bar in Iceland or even every cafe that serves alcohol, they have a happy hour. There is actually websites that you can find online that tell you every single happy hour for the main bars in Iceland. So have a search around, pick out some bars that you want to go to and find when their happy hours are and go to that bar during their happy hour, not outside of it, because you'll end up getting drinks cheaper or you'll get, say, 2 for the price of 1. Now, in saying that, the bar's prices are still going to be more expensive than they would be at home for you, but trust me, it's going to add up if you look for the happy hours instead of just going to a bar at any random time and ordering their full price items. And tip number 5 is to walk everywhere. If you are staying in Reykjavik, it's not that big of a city. You can walk from one side to the other of the main Reykjavik area where all the attractions are in probably half an hour. So just walk everywhere if you're able to. You can get buses or taxis, but trust me, walking is going to be so much cheaper and it's going to keep you fit as well. Now, I also have a bonus 6th tip. And I say it's a bonus because it's not actually one we used whilst we were there, but we plan to next time, and that is to hire a car. So we, for example, did 2 different day tours to sites nearby but just outside of Reykjavik, and obviously because we didn't hire a car, we couldn't get there ourselves, so that is why we booked the day tours. Now the day tours were awesome. We got some great information from our tour guides and it just made things so much easier to rock up to each of the different places, then get back on the bus and get driven there. It did make it easier, but I'd also recommend, if you felt comfortable doing so, to hire a car and be able to drive yourself around to these attractions. The attractions themselves, like the waterfalls, the black sand beach, they're all free because they're natural structures. So you can just hire a car and drive yourself to them without having to pay for a tour. And yes, tours are a bit more expensive, so it is a cheaper way of doing it. If you're just staying inside Reykjavik and you're not planning on going anywhere outside of Reykjavik, it's probably not an option for you, but it's a good option if you are planning to go to some of the sites outside of Reykjavik. What me and Dan plan on doing next time we go to Iceland, and yes, there will be a next time, is we actually want to hire a camper van and drive around Iceland. You can travel the ring road, and that will bring our costs of accommodation, tours, all of that down so much more, because we'll just be driving ourselves around, we'll be staying in the camper van at night, so that's also a good option. But like I said, that's a bonus tip because I haven't actually done it myself, so I can't completely give you advice on that, but I've done some research and that is what we plan to do in the future. And then there's also the general travel tips, like booking your trip out of season, booking with a budget airline, and then choosing to only have carry-on luggage, not hold luggage. You'll save money that way. Things like that. I'm probably going to do a whole video on travel money saving tips just in general. But yeah, in terms of Iceland, definitely try and book out of season. And if you can, travel with a budget airline. I know if you're coming from the Southern Hemisphere, like if I was traveling there from Australia, where I'm from, couldn't do budget airline. But if you're traveling from mainland Europe or from the UK like we did, you can definitely find budget airline. We travelled with EasyJet and we didn't have any hold luggage, so that obviously brought our costs down by just travelling carry-on, and you know I love carry-on, you know I promote carry-on only a lot, so yeah. In saying that, check out my previous video on what I packed to take to Iceland if you want some tips on that. And that is pretty much all I have for you today. Leave a comment below if you have any other money saving tips for Iceland in particular, and let me know if you want to see a full general travel money saving tips video. I think I could probably do that, so let me know if you want to see that. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and click subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Okay, thanks for watching guys, bye!